So to start off with, one thing is that I'm going to go for this shab. Guruji says nishab, Guru Ramdas ji, और इसको हर पुरख agam है, को कितने में पाइए. Agam means that when something is beyond our thinking, it is a bit beyond our kind of, we can't comprehend something. So some things is that totally over our head. And that's what Gurbani says, so har purkh agam. Why Guru's agam, meaning it's beyond our comprehension. You can't kind of fathom Vaheguru. Go get the bit of Vaheguru. So in Vaheguru, we can't even think of Vaheguru. Vaheguru is so great that we can't even kind of think about him. So how on earth can we go, how on earth can we kind of experience God or find God? It's kind of a valid question. This is Rupana Rek Adrisht. Kaho Janapyo Tyagiye. How on earth are we supposed to meditate on God when Vaheguru's got no roop? He's got no kind of feature, he's got no kind of image, and he's got no rek, he's got no kind of features, so there's no image, no features. He's adrisht. Adrisht means that you can't see him. How on earth are you supposed to pray to somebody which you can't see? These are the probably atheists, but actually, I agree with these points. You know, so far, atheists actually, I agree with that. Something you can't grasp in your mind is so big. How on earth can you find that? Is that a valid point? Yeah. Something which you can't see, or doesn't have a feature or outline or image, how on earth are you supposed to meditate upon that? That's fair enough as well, isn't it? A valid point. Then Guruji says, Nirankar Niranjan Har Agam Kya Kah Guna Gaiye. Vaheguru is Nirankar, he's formless, he doesn't have a form. He is Niranjan, he means he's pure. Har Agam, again Guruji says he's unaccessible, he's kind of beyond our mind, inaccessible to the mind, that is. He's inaccessible just to the mind. This thinking, we can't get it because it's so big. So what on earth are we supposed to praise then? If he's formless, he's beyond our thinking, how are we supposed to even sing his praises? Again, that's valid points. So it's kind of saying that, I don't know, have you heard of the Richard Dawkins? Have you heard of him? No one studies philosophy. Richard Dawkins is a hardcore atheist. He's, I think, from Cambridge University's professor. The Delusion of God on it. He's written a book. You might find some memories. And he kind of would argue probably something similar to this. Then Gurbani gives the answer, and the last two lines I missed out on purpose. Just aap bajai. So how can we see God which you can't see, you can't describe, beyond our thinking? How are we supposed to praise him or believe in him or follow him? And Guruji gives the answer. Just aap bajai, aap. So just aap bajai, aap. So har marg paiye. Gur pure vikhalya, gur seva paiye. Guruji says they alone walk the Lord's path. Just aap bajai. These are being Guruji himself blesses. Gur pura vikhalya, gur seva paiye. So how do we see God from this line? Gur seva paiye. What might that mean? Anyone? Guruji says, Gur pura vikhalya, the perfect Guru will show you God. Gur seva paiye. In simple translation for doing Guru seva. What's Guru seva? Anji.
Doing seva, megudala, how?
Okay, so me washing dishes and I'm going to see God someday. I'm on purpose being a devil's advocate. I'm prompting you with questions because I'm doing what someone outside would do. You know, so that's what we're doing here. So things that atheists might ask you, we're kind of doing here so that we kind of prepared. That's why. Okay, so Paisa saying could be doing seva on the good. Anybody else have different answers? What's God's service? Why would you seva? Anyone else know what the right is? The biggest seva is what? Seva kiriya? Naam japana. To do Vaheguru seva, to worship God, to chant his name is the biggest seva. Bhakti ajande, that's no good seva. But the biggest true seva is actually Naam japana. Guruji says that you know how to accept how you get to this, how you have to perceive the unseeable, how you have to think of the unthinkable. Guruji says that is when first you need grace, another. Just aap bajai aap. So Guruji has to bless us. Then Guruji says if you do seva that we get the glasses to see God. Waheguru, Waheguru, Waheguru. Acha. This is anyone know which Bani this from? Know which Bani is this from? Any of you do Japji Sahib part? But you had that. Jab Sahib. Who does Japji? Out of interest, who does Japji Sahib part? No, from this Shakar as you see. I hope you know. So bucket of you. Anyone do Jab Sahib in the name of Shakir? No, this one Jab Sahib. God of Ben, even though Shakir used to know very good. Acha, Guruji says, he describes God. Like he's got no physical appearances. Chakar Channel, Baran Jal, Darbar, Hinja. Guruji says that Vaheguru, he has no physical appearance. Roop Ranga Reg Pe Kau Kaya Sakatake. So similar to what we just read, that Guruji says Vaheguru has no form, colour, shape, mark, symbols, or kind of garments or guise. Ajal Mut Anubhav Prakash Amator Jake Hijja. Guruji says that Vaheguru is self-luminous, meaning he's self-existent, he shines everywhere and is in his glory. And then Guru Pasha carries on, say, quote in the Indran, Shah Shahan Ganijjar. Guruji says that he is the maker of billions of kings, he is the king of kings. Then this one, then Trepavam Mihib Sundar Sor Net Net Banatran Kahat. Guruji says that even all the vegetation, creatures, demigods, they are all kind of praising and saying you're infinite. The main point I want to bring you to is this last line. How on earth do we describe God? It's true, how on earth can we describe God? How can we know something about God? If someone asks you, how do you know something about God? What would the answer be? Go, Baji.
We can't.
We can't, okay. Baji says we can't. Anybody else? How might you know something about God? Anji. Guru Granth Sahib Ji, very good, okay. Anybody have answers? Okay. Well, if you're slightly, if you're a bit clever, extra clever, you could have looked at the last line. Guruji says, I'm going to bold as well. Guru says, who can describe all your names? The wise men have mentioned your functional names only. We don't know, we can only know God by his actions. I hope if I've lost anything, please let me know. We can only know God by his actions. For example, sometimes we can't see the wind, can we? Wind, this thing is, we can't see it. But at the same time, what do you know about the wind? How do you know something about the wind? Is through its actions. Give me an example. You can feel it, so it gush past you. You can feel its action. So by its function, how else can you experience or know something about the wind? Am I going beyond your head? Do you know this, for example, trees are waving, you know? Just keep it simple. Trees are waving, you know the wind. It's from its actions. So you've seen the actions of the wind. If someone's walking and their beard's going like this with the wind, that means it's for the actions. For the actions of the wind. Similar to the actions of Vaheguruji, we could describe Vaheguru. He's given us birth. He's given us life. He makes all the tree and all the vegetation. He gives it life. You see, he is a creator. He is a destroyer because we're going to die. So these are all the functional names. That's why we have some understanding of Vaheguru through what's happening in the world in terms of functions. Bolo Vaheguru, Vaheguru, sorry, Bolo Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Okay. So what does Guruji say about God? And this is from Mool Mantra. One thing is, very recently, a lad, I was told in a talk, I went to somewhere else, that this Bhai Sahib said he went to a place, a city, and they said there was a lad who's converted to Islam. Punjabi, Sikh family. And Bhai Sahib asked him, why have you converted to Islam? And his simple answer is because Islam believes in one God. Anyone give me a response to that? Why are you nodding your head? No, Benji, can you, something inside of you, I know, can you mind sharing? He said, I've changed my religion because Islam believes in one God.
Yeah, so you have to do that now about Islam.
Go on, tell me, go.
There's only one God.
Thank you very much. What does Gurbani start with? What does Ik Onkar in basic English or basic translation mean? There. One God, one freedom. And he said he changed his religion because he said Islam believes in one God. And you see how we failed, how we failed, that we've been blessed with such a treasure, but because of our weaknesses, our community's weaknesses, that we are kind of, these camps should be happening everywhere and you should be attending these classes. That's how we empower ourselves. So it's very sad. I work in prison service. I work with people from Sikh background in prisons. And I was just recently talking to one of the prisoners, and he was going. I asked him. I shared the similar story, and I said, "Viji, what does Ik Onkar mean? Tell me, what does Ik Onkar mean?" He goes, "There's one guru." Is it one guru? It was really. Then eventually, after like a good 15-20 seconds, after me giving a few prompts, he said, "There's one God." And he said, "Sorry, Bhai Sahib, I feel really embarrassed that I didn't know that." This is a basic description of why Guru Nanak Dev Ji gives us. Ik Onkar. So, Bhaji, can you remind us what Ik Onkar means? One God, okay. Satanam, Bhai Sahib, could you tell me? Satanam? His name, do you want to do the basic translation? Very basic. Okay, so his name is true, for he is the true Sat, and his Naam, he's Naam as well. Kartapur, Benji, Benji, you know, Kartapur? He is the doer, very good, thank you. He is the creator, he is the doer. And not only that, he's the creator and doer, but he's also within the creation. Okay, Nirpal, anyone know Nirpal?
Without fear.
Without fear. Nirvair?
Without hate.
Without hate. Akal Murat? Kal means time. Akal. Timeless image, okay? Ajuni? Ajuni?
He was unborn.
Hanji, beyond birth, thank you. Sayabang? Simple as light. He's self-existent. He's self-illuminating or self-existent. And Gur Prasad. Through Guru's grace, he's known. Very key point there. After describing God, Guruji ends with what? What does he end with in the mantra? Why is Guruji ending with this? It's to show us that with you need His grace. If you want to see God, if you want to feel God, if you want to experience God, what do you have to do? Who do you have to go through? Guru. Through the Guru, Guru will show you. The Guru becomes you the glasses which you have to see widely. Okay. So we can share a quick story. Everybody with me so far? Have I lost anybody? Let me know if anybody gets lost or left behind. Okay, because there's no point me babbling on. Okay, a very simple story. Mala? What's a mala made of? Beads and string. Mankan taga, beads and string. Okay. Ek sadhu hai, oh, bus vich baitha. And there's some lads sitting around. The lads go to village and they see this religious guy, this holy man, sadhu. And unu share lag bande. They go, Sadhu, Baba, Rab hega? Sanu bhi Rab dikha ke show us God as well. Jaan ke they are take teasing him. Sadhu, Sanu bhi Rab dikha, show us God as well. Koi ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸ ਦੂੰਗਾ. The school bus stops, where the school comes and the bus stops, they all get off and the sadhu, the holy man, gets off as well. And then the sadhu, he gets the lads who ask him the question and he says, Aju, and he said, he got his mala out This don't key, this stuff. What do you see? What would the answer be?
Like beads and things.
Beads and no. When you first just see this, what would you say the answer is? Well, if someone just shows you that, what are the first thing you would come to you? What would you say? What am I holding? A mala, necklace. Necklace, mala, pari. Okay. Then the sadhu, the holy man, unne ki kita ida kita. Okay, what's going to happen now? With the mala, he does this. He pulls it apart. So what happens? It breaks. It breaks, and the manke, the beads, some of them fall on the floor. Then he asked the students, because what do you see now? What's left in his hand? He's still holding like this. What's he holding now? What can they see? Hanji? String. And that's string and beads now you can see. Why didn't you say string in the first place, he said. Why didn't they say string in the first place? You couldn't see it. And the sadhu said, that's just like why. The beads are the creation, and Vaigu is the string. And Vaigu is within the creation. We can't see it with first glance. Kanani said that we can see, but it's within everybody and everything. And he goes that, Sam Jagi Tanho. So the dads can't they walked away. This is what Gurbani says. Gurbani describes, even in before we do Ardas, we read. Anyone know there's something about a thread we read just a bit through Thakurtam Ardas. Anyone know which line we read about? That Vaigu is like a thread throughout the whole of the universe. Sagal Samagri Tumere Sutar Tan. Sutar is like a necklace. Guruji says that Vaheguru is at the thread in the whole of the creation's necklace. Same thing. Guruji says Sab Gobind hai. Sab Gobind hai. Gobind bin nahi koi. Everything is Vaheguru. Everything is Vaheguru. Without Vaheguru there's nothing. This is the point where I'll bring you to. Soot ek. Soot means the thread. There's one thread. Man sat sands jaise ot prab soi. So as one thread holds 100,000 beads, the manke, God is woven into the creation. And if we get somehow, we grasp something of Guruji saying so far. Something like it? Yeah? Okay. So, Vaheguru, we can't sometimes see Vaheguru because Vaheguru, all we can see is the necklace part. So we can see the creation part, so we can see everything around us, but we can't see the thread part, and for that, what's the answer? What do we need to do to see the thread? What do we need to see Vaheguru? What was the answer at the beginning we shared, what Guruji said? Meditate on his name, and you have to go through who? Guru. Very good. Okay. Another example I'm going to share with you. If you get a flint and you light it and you put it into a Bunsen burner and you know it's got oxygen in there, what happens? Hanji? It lights up. Okay, thank you. If it's carbon dioxide in a Bunsen burner, you put it in a flint, what happens? Sorry? Turns cloud?
It goes out.
Sorry? It burns out? Okay, it burns out. Okay, yeah, that picture is kind of misleading. Okay. Okay, if you had a hydrogen in a test tube and you put a flint in there, obviously a flame, what happened?
It pops.
It pops, yeah? You have an explosion, it pops. Okay, very good. So you got fire, it burns out, and an explosion or it pops. Okay. So, how can you see oxygen? Can you see oxygen? Sure? Okay, but well, I'm kind of confused because we just talked about this. Can anyone explain to me how can you see oxygen? Can you see oxygen? No. So how can you test if someone's got oxygen in there? Sorry? Oh, we just talk about oxygen. Why would you talk afterwards? Just think about oxygen. How can you see if something's got oxygen? How can you see oxygen? Simple, what we just mentioned.
I do that test.
Test, okay, that's it. Okay, so you have to do a test, isn't it? for the test, what do you need to do?
Get the fluid.
Okay, so you need the apparatus, ठीक है? This is just very basic, ठीक है? Very basic रखिए. Okay, so to do this test, you need the apparatus, okay? So I've got all the चीज़ें. Okay, can you do it anywhere? Can you do this test anywhere?
Yeah.
Can you do all these 3 tests anywhere? You do it on the side street, outside the shop or something? Laboratory, okay, so that means it's a controlled environment, isn't it? So within a controlled environment, you do this test. So it's a controlled environment. Then you make sure you've got the correct apparatus, then you do the test. And doing the test, then you can find out whether there's oxygen. Even though you can't see it, through doing this test, then you can experience it. Yeah, there is oxygen in there. Once there was a Gursikh, he was a teacher, and he served as a principal in a school in India. And nearby, there was some communists something? They were atheists. And they had put out a challenge. If anyone can prove God, they would get a prize. They've got a lot of money, like you can win like £1,000 equivalent or something. India the Guardian. They said, if you can prove God, anybody, and we'll give you a cash prize. Someone comes up to you, this Gyani Ji, he's a good Sikh, he's a teacher, very religious man. They said, Gyani Ji, the communists down the road, they put this challenge there, that you're a religious man, you go there and prove God. Can you make them see God, or experience God? Gyani Ji gave an answer, he goes, I can. No problem. And he goes but there's hold on, because they got really happy. We're going to go and tell the communists. And they thought it was going to be a bit of a drama. The lads and the students thought, this should be quite funny, isn't it? Making a Gyani fight an atheist. So what they did, the good Gyani stopped the lads. He goes, hold on, before you go, you have to tell the communists or the atheists that if they wish me to prove God, that they have to do what I say. What do you mean? He goes, then they have to stay with me for 6 months. They have to stay with me for 6 months. Then staying for 6 months, and they have to do exactly what I say. Okay. Then I was very Amritvillah Naam Abhyas karna, we're chanting Vaheguru, Nityanam Path karna, we do Seva, and then we do Sangat of the Gursikhs, and do Kirtan. And what Bhai Sahib was saying, and then the lads, they just thought, oh gosh, this is a bit too much, and they just walked off. What Bhai Sahib was trying to say to them is similar to this. You have to say, where's God? Where? You think, are we in the right environment? Are we got the right conditions? Do we have the right apparatus to actually see Vaheguru? To try to feel Vaheguru, get closer to Vaheguru? So, same thing is that to experience or see Vaheguru according to Qurbani, you have to have the right environment. And what's the environment? Anyone tell me? What might the environment be? Sangat. In the Sangat, Guruji says you get blessed with these things. And there's many stories of how people who are atheists or didn't believe in God, or people who were totally broken away from the Guru's path, just coming in Sangat, they might not have understood what, they might not understand what's happening, but the power of the Sangat, the power of the vibrations of Naam and Bani within the Sangat, change them and experience God. And the same thing is that you need it to have these, to see Vaheguru, that you need to have these environment and these kind of conditions. And that's one thing, to experience if you have the love of Vaheguru and experience Vaheguru, we have to do something. It's not just through Galla. You have to do the same thing, just like you're going to do the science experiment. Okay, we're going towards the part about towards the end. Okay, so Guru Nanak Dev Ji means Dastagir. Anyone heard of Dastagir? Okay. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he travelled across the world, and he also travelled to Iraq. And when he went to Iraq, he visited Baghdad, which Gori called Baghdad. I say, because sometimes in Punjabi, I'm sort of like, what's Bhai Sahib saying? So that's why Baghdad is again there. So when Guru Nanak Dev Ji went to Baghdad, then Guru Pasha met a Maulvi called Dastagir. Guru Nanak Pasha, Guru Bhai Gurdas, he went there and he said, Patala, Patal, Lak Agas Agas. Anyone know what that means? What is Patala, Patal, Lak Agas Agas? It comes in Japji Sahib.
Is it, there's a lot of planets and galaxies and wheels and everything?
Hanji, Patal. There's planets upon planets skies upon skies, universes upon universes. Guru Nanak Dev said that, and according to Islam, that was blasphemy. Blasphemy something? It was like, that's against God. Why was that? Anyone know how many heavens or skies do Muslims believe that they exist? Yes, 7. They believe there's 7 skies. So when the Muslims heard this, they became confused. How do you say there's thousands upon thousands, millions upon millions of planets and skies and galaxies and universes, when there's only 7 skies? So, and then people came around, and then they had this discussion, well, who's this man challenging us? And then Dastagir, he was the local ruler and the pious religious man. He comes and he invites Guru Nanak Dev Ji to his home. And he invites him, so he's obviously the local ruler as well. And so Dastagir invites Guru Nanak Dev Ji to his darbar. Darbar something? To his court. And according to this, is going to Janam Sakhi. Dastagir asked Guru Nanak Dev Ji 3 questions. Questions which might an average person on the street might have. What was before God? How do we get to God? And what can God do? So, what was before God? For this, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is standing there. Anyone know what Guru Nanak Dev Ji did?
He took out these coins and he told the Maulvi to count. He told Dastagir to count the coins. So he said, okay, 1, 2, 3. He goes, no, you counted wrong. Count again. That is enough. He goes, what was before 1? He counted again, he kept saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He goes, what was before 1? He goes, only 1 knows what was before 1. Only Waheguru knows what was before Waheguru. He did a little experiment with Dastagir, no?
इधर से उन्होंने कैसे गिनती जिस तरह वो काउंटिंग में गया था ये उन्होंने भाषा के अंदर को गिन वो कहते 1 2 3 1 2 3 in his language the भाषा says मैं कहता तो पहला तो गिन from the start from the beginning. So this is what's the one start from the beginning counting. So I said start from the beginning counting. Where do you start from? 1. No? From the very beginning. It's 1. What's before 1? Because there is nothing. 0 is nothing, isn't it? There is nothing. Because that's your answer. Before God, there is. It's only 1. There is nothing else before Waheguru. It's Waheguru alone. How do we get to God? Okay. For this, Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, "Minu dudh da bhanda liya." He got a vessel, bhanda, or which dudh si. Ta jadoo dudh lianda, then Guru Nanak Dev Ji said. कहते अपने दूध विच नहीं हाथ पा कोई hand in milk हाथ पा कहते what's in this? What's in it? So are you sure? Is there anything else in there? और कुछ है गोरे विच? Okay, so from a cow, you milk the cow, you get the milk here, you set a panda in a village, you bring it forward and I say, you can put your hand in there and tell me what's in there. What's your answer? What would your answer be?
Yes, no.
Okay. No other answer. He said it's just milk. Guru Nanak said no. There's not just milk in there. What do you say?
Butter.
There's butter in there as well. Butter is not an external thing, isn't it? Butter, bali cheez nahi. Butter is contained within the milk. The yogurt is contained within the all of these things, butter, yogurt, is all contained within the milk. But we can't see it. How do you get to the butter? How do you get to the yogurt? Sorry? You have to churn. To get the butter, you have to churn it. You have to put it in a vessel and you have to keep it churn. Warm it up and then you have to churn it. Churn, kari jao, and then it becomes butter. So, just like Guru Nanak Ji said, how do we get to God? Waheguru is inside of you, inside of me, inside of everyone. But you can't see it. Just like the butter, you can't see the butter, you can't see the yogurt. To see it, you have to go through a process. O kiya japota eko nama avandra parakama. Waheguru. I'm churning. When you're churning milk, Waheguru. Under this churn, Waheguru. Waheguru, Waheguru, and And then Guruji says that's how you get to God. So what can God do? Okay. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, for this you need to step down. Step down from your throne and you have to let me sit on your throne. Okay, so he gets up and he stands in front of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and Guru Nanak Pasha sits on the throne. And that's your answer. What's the answer? What can God do?
Is it that he can take his power away from him?
Very good. In 1 second, he can make a beggar into a king to a beggar. Colonel Gaddafi, Raja see na? 1 second the rich. Saddam Hussein. In 1 second, he had golden taps. These taps at home, covered with gold. In 1 second, his life changes. Richard Branson, legend. He's a guy selling CDs in a marketplace. In a flick, he becomes a millionaire. Can you see this is what God can do? Make a beggar into a king and a king to a beggar. He can change our lives in 1 second when he wishes. Then thus the Guru Nanak Dev Ji's feet and he became a follower. And there's even a Gurdwara in Baghdad. Even today, there's a Gurdwara. Muslims look after it. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. So far, has that made sense? Has it made sense? So, okay. So, I'm going to say one, sometimes with stories, a bit easier to understand. There's, this is a saint called Baba Harnam Singh Rampur Kherawari. He's got a book, it's in English, so you can read. It's called Sekaniya book. It's in English and Punjabi. Very easy to read book, very nice chapters on like very relevant topics. And in there, there's one story of there's a guy called Dr. Kartar Singh. He's an atheist. So atheist something? Atheist means atheist means don't believe in God. Okay. So I should have said that at the beginning. Forgot. So atheist is someone who believes in God. So Dr. Kartar Singh was an atheist, and in his mind, he thought, if Baba Harnam Singh is a saint, he should have to show me God, if there is a God. So this is a conversation. Dr. Kartar Singh says this to Babaji. He who nobody has ever seen, and who cannot be seen with eyes, who there is no evidence of, and who nobody has ever been able to show, these people call him God, and have begun worshipping him. People call him by many names. There's Allah, Ram, Rahim, Khuda, God, Yahweh. They pray to him in the mornings and in the evenings. How can anyone have faith in something which there is no evidence of existing? What can he grant you? Yes, many have gained a great deal by putting this superstition into people's minds. So he's kind of saying what Karl Marx said, that religion is opium of the people. All religion does is just kind of exploit people. This whole God business is to frighten people and to exploit them and make money out of them. That's what he's kind of suggesting to Babaji. Some interesting kind of points he's made there to put forward. And Babaji replies to him. Babaji gives these examples. Talks about the invisible creation. What's this first picture of? What's the qualities of mercha?
Spicy.
Can you tell these are spicy? How come you can't have they're spicy?
Because it's not there, you have to taste it to know that it's...
Okay, so the answer is you have to taste it. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so mood then Deepa, oh, that's really gory, oh, that's really spicy. Oh, well, that's not gory. So you have to taste it. Okay. This is a picture of what? It's like cough medicine or some medicine, okay? Do we know whether this dwai is going to be gory, is bitter, or is it going to be mitti? Is it sweet? How would you know? You have to taste it. So you can't tell at the bottle by just looking at it. Would you have to tell? You go to a pharmacy, chemist, and you look at this and say, okay, oh yeah, that looks like a really sweet medicine there, or bitter medicine. Would you have to tell? So you have to taste it. That's what Baba Harnam Singh said. Can the Dr. Kartar say? God is not something you go and prove and kind of make all these calculations. God is something you have to taste, you have to experience. Okay. Then Babaji, these are some further examples of invisible creation. So that means bitterness and sweetness exists, but you can't see it. Okay? Yeah, that's a fact, isn't it? So it's invisible creation. His main point is that something you can't see, how can you worship? There's some questions you might be challenged with, or people might say or discuss in schools, and we have debates and stuff, so it's quite interesting to have this information. Okay, I remember once when I was invited to my sixth form. Just know that my background was out in philosophy and religious studies teaching. And I was invited back to my sixth form college to kind of partake in this interfaith event. I wasn't a main speaker, but I was just invited as a guest. And there was a lady from the British Dawkins site, so they're people who don't believe in God. And she was really, really rude to the Muslim panelist and to the Christian panelist. And she goes, so all the sixth formers are sitting there. She goes, "Okay guys, I'm going to tell you a story. I said to you, I'm going to tell you something which is really true, and believe me, because I'm telling you. In my garage, there's a pink dragon. And the pink dragon, fire comes out his nose. But the thing is, only I can see him. And you have to trust me that I've seen him, so you trust me that there is a dragon there. And the dragon, you know, is really big and he's like this, and you need to know that it exists because I've told you." Can you see what she's trying to do?
Yeah.
What she's trying to do?
Because
So you said that Prophet Muhammad saw God,
yeah.
so trust him. Or Jesus said that, you know, he saw God or was sent by God, so trust him. So she was ridiculing that. And she was saying, the thing you cannot see, how can you believe? She said the same point. I was sitting there and I felt so disgusted by the way she was going. There's nothing wrong with having a discussion if she believes that, but there's sometimes a way of putting a point across. And she was very rude, and she was quite insulting. So I put my hand up, and my old sociology teacher, I just said to him, "Sir, do you mind if I can have a speak?" He goes, "Yeah, you can speak, man. We'll come to the front, and you know you can speak." So I came to the front and I said, "Hi, I wasn't part of the panel, but I said, just want to share something from the Sikh perspective as I'm listening." I said, one thing is that I've got a mobile phone. So if I've got a mobile phone and I'm going to send Baji a text, would anyone be able to see the text?
No.
The text going from my phone, physical phone, to go to Baji's phone, can we see that? Going travelling. That means it's invisible. So if from that logic, whatever you can't see can't exist, that doesn't work. You can't see a text message flying from my phone going to, it's invisible. It goes from a satellite and back down. Same with when you're watching Discovery Channel or Sky or television. Where does that come from? Where does it come from? I'll have given you some prompts to think about. A satellite, okay. So it comes from a satellite. Can we see the satellite waves? Sure. No, we can't. We can't see. Oh, there's the TV coming down from the sky. Oh, there's BBC Music, or there's 6 channels, single TV coming down. You can't see them. But the fact is that it exists. Also, then what's this? Microwave. Can you see microwaves? You can't see them. We're going to warm up the subject, and you can't see them. You can't see it, but it does it. What's this picture of? Okay. I'm not very much a sciencey person. Does atoms actually? Can you see atoms?
No.
So why have they made this picture? Why have they made this picture when atoms you can't see?
Can't see with the naked eye.
You can't see with the naked eye. So this is kind of a idea, isn't it, to help us explain. To explain something, and they, to help us explain the atom, they made these kind of diagrams. So from this, it's kind of would you all have to agree that we come to a conclusion that just because you can't see something doesn't mean it doesn't exist? Yeah? Everybody okay with that? So that's kind of one thing we've established. One thing is that you can't see everything, but you can see the effects of it. Yeah? You can see the effects of it, whether it's a text message you received, it's warmed up something, or you receive a channel on your TV screen. You can taste the bitterness or sweetness of something, but you can't see it. So you have to taste it. Okay. Then he says using other senses to prove something. Okay. So he's one thing. Dr. Kartar Singh, he said that okay, but he goes. You cannot, he goes that using other senses to prove, he goes, okay, but I still feel unconvinced. Dr. Kartar Singh goes, I'm still slightly unconvinced that you're saying that something is, you can taste it and this, that, the other, and he needed some clarification. Baba Naam Singh, then he says in his book, he goes, gives an example of Guru Nanak Dev, he said. So this is a picture of, okay. So you cannot taste butter when drinking milk. You have to go through a process to make the butter appear. And that process, Gurbani explains, that you have to churn it, you put it into a nice dish. So that comes down to into the experiment. So you have to have a clean dish. Not, when you're making butter, it can never be a dirty dish. What you think about? We won't experience Waheguru. And then we're always in nightclubs. We always listen to filthy songs. We're saying filthy words. We're slandering people. We're saying filthy swear words in our mouth. We're always in a non-spiritual environment. And then, so that means our dish becomes it becomes stained. So we don't get that same experience. So one thing is, and Guruji's given us an amazing thing to clean our mind. What's that? Gurbani sun, mer goy, Gurbani. Through Gurbani and through Simran, we clean our mind. Okay, so through that, when you go through the process, then you're able to obtain the butter. Okay. Then Baba Harnam Singh shares the following example from Gurbani. Okay, this is a picture of wood, yeah? How from wood, how can you make fire? If you imagine you're in scouts or you're brownies, you're in the forest, you don't have matches with you, how can you do it? How do you make fire if you're in the jungle or the woods?
Rub it together.
How do you?
Rub it together.
You put it together, you rub it together. You rub it together and then a fire comes. So the fire appears. So that means, where is the fire contained? What's it contained in?
Is in the wood.
Huh? So you said the fire is contained within the wood. The fire is contained within the wood. But to make the fire appear, what's the process? What's the process you have to go through? The milk, to get the butter, the process is to church. Okay. Sagal banasapat mein basantar, sagal doodh mein kiya. Within the wood is contained the fire. Guruji says, sagal doodh mein kiya, within the dough, the milk is pure. Uch neet mein jot samani, kat kat madhu jiya, within low people, high people, within poor and rich people. Why Guruji is within everybody? He's within the deep down, the nucleus of everybody. Santo, Katakatarayo Samayo, all saints. He's within the deep nucleus, deep down within all of us. Why Guruji is pervading. Purna Pureo Sarme Janthal Ramaya Ayo. Guruji says that why Guru is everywhere. He's within the land and the water. So how do we get, what's the process? So this is the process for butter and wood. What's the process? Again, Guruji explains the process to see God. Gun Nidan, Jas Gave, Sadguru Param Chukai. If you want to know the process, how, if God's within us, if fire is within the wood, God is within us, to get the fire revealing itself, you have to rub it. How does God get revealed through us? How does God get revealed to our mind? How? What's the answer? Jas Gave. Sing His praises. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Gun Nidan. He is the treasure of virtues, of qualities. Gun Nidan Nanak, Jas Gave, Satguru Param Chukai. When you sing His praises, the illusion, do you think which makes us, there's like a curtain which makes you can't see God, that gets lifted. And you say, wow, I can see God within me and everyone. Sarvanavasi Stati Pasamerya Sumayo. You see that pure Vaheguru within everyone then. Okay. Coming towards the end now. Okay, Gurbani, one is a steady mind. We're talking about, you know, what type of frame of mind. We're talking about experiment, we're talking about the oxygen and this, that, the other, these conditions. So what's the conditions you do this spiritual experiment, this God experiment?
Love.
Love. Very good. Saj, Ghor, Sunyo, Subeh, Jin, Prem, Kyotani. Love is one. Very good. Thank you. Tok, Dam, Karari, Jo Karo, Hajir, Hajur, Khudai, Kar, Fakar, Dai, Vadai, Jasme, Jan, Taha, Majood. If you will only center yourself on Vaheguru, even for just a breath, then you shall see the Lord face to face, present before you. Serve Vaheguru forever, use your eyes and see Him ever present everywhere. Key point here is, center yourself. You have to align yourself when you make your mind, try to become one. Most times, you say, well, sometimes, have you ever been in a situation where you're eating food and you lose count how many roti you've eaten? What's happened to anybody? Whoever is this me? You make it sound, is it just me? How was happened to you as well? I think, how many roti have I had? I sometimes ask auntie ji, "Auntie, I need to know. I'm sure I'm on the fourth prasad, I usually eat two. So why is that? Why is sometimes we eat food but we don't realize?
Get distracted.
You get distracted, very good. You get distracted. Sometimes you're watching something. Oh, did you see that scene? Oh, did you see that character just came in? No. Why how can you missed out? Your eyes are watching, what happens? So you lost focus. Same thing, when we try to make our mind focus, then Vaheguruji, through breathing, through the breath, that's what Guruji blesses, we take Amrit Prasad class Simran. When we to do that, with breathing, with mind, body and breath, we are able to focus ourselves, become one with the present. We're neither in the past, neither in the future. You're one in the present, and your present is, what's the nishani of your present? It's your breath. With your breath, your mind, you're one. And when you've got that single-mindedness, and then you remember God, then Vaheguruji said, that's it. You're able to see why we experience one. Okay. Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. Okay. Well, just going to share a few personal experiences of Guru Sikhs, and then we have question answers as well. This Bhai Manvir Singh was a great Guru Sikh of the 20th century, a freedom fighter, spent 16 years in prison fighting for India and freedom. And Bhai Sahib was a great mystic as well. He's got some books in English as well, which is I advise to read. Gurbani says, Nikat suno arpe ko nahi, param param dukh pariya, hoye karpar gurlahe pardo, milo lal man hariya. So the Vaheguru which we couldn't see, Vaheguruji's removed the doubts, removed the veil, removed the curtain, has made me see Vaheguru through the blue. One good story I'll share is Bhai Sahib was in prison for 16 years, and when Bhai Sahib was in prison, he was kept in solitary confinement for, I think it was about 8 or 9 years, to my understanding. When Bhai Sahib was in, we all understand what solitary confinement means. Solitary confinement, do you understand? No? You understand what solitary confinement is?
Yes, he's excluded from facility.
How you can't exclude from the prisoners. You're kept in a room, but the room is a kind of like a box cupboard. So a solitary confinement is, for example, you're in a kind of a dungeon cell, and you're kept in there, and you're away from everybody else. You're kept in a dungeon, and usually they're kept there all the time, and they're just allowed out for a toilet break, or to get some food. Bhai Sahib was kept like that for approximately 8 years. For 8 years, Bhai Manvir Singh was kept in solitary confinement in a dark dungeon. He just his cell, can you imagine a small cell, which is imagine like this. In Jagate. And it's got no windows. You can't kind of walk around. And Bhai Sahib was there for 8 years. What happened to a normal person if you're in a dungeon for 8 years like that? Yeah, you got mental. just similar nowadays as well, that you have chaplains, you have priests, like my role on the Sikh minister who works in prisons. You have Christian ministers. The Christian minister or priest, he comes to the prison and he's doing the British Raj, the Gauri in India then. And he comes and says, look, I'm doing an inspection. And he looks at the list and says, can you show me all your prisoners? It's kind of like a human rights, just to make sure everybody's got their welfare needs. It's one of those kind of visitors. When he's looking on the list, he sees this guy's name. He says, who's this Ranveer Singh? He looks like he's been in this dungeon, this solitary confinement for 8 years. That's not allowed. For 8 years he's been in solitary confinement. That's not possible. That's not allowed. It's against prison rules. Because no, sorry, we've been given special orders. This guy's a really dangerous guy. He needs to be kept in there. Because I have to meet him. Because no, he's very dangerous. Can't meet. No, because I would like to meet him. He's got special powers. He goes to meet Bhai Sahib. He says, what about the other prisoners? How many other prisoners got in solitary confinement? He goes, well, the other prisoners, well, because they've got so many rooms, the cells, which are for solitary confinement, because just to keep them kind of, being used, we usually give one prisoner one night, and that's it. We don't ever bring them back again. Just so that they get used the rooms. Because why do you only keep them there for one night? Anyone guess? Why only one night and not more than that? They go mental. They start screaming, shouting. So you do that with the other prisoners. How come you kept this guy for 8 years in there? So when they went to see Bhai Sahib's in the courtyard. He's been let out. He was let out for I think about half an hour. He used to be out or so, 30 minutes in the day. So imagine 23.5 hours within a dark dungeon. Bhai Sahib's out and he's standing in the sun like this. And the Christian priest standing here in the shade and goes, excuse me, sir, because they spoke English. Bhai Sahib spoke English as well. And he was trained in law. And he goes, excuse me, sir, can you come here? I'd like to meet you. And Bhai these things, standing in the sun, goes, sir, you can come here. And the Gora goes, I don't know, stand in the burning sun. How on earth this guy is standing there like he's carefree and it's so hot and it's a burning sun. So Bhai Sahib comes over then. And when he sees him, he sees the glow on his face. We talk about those who have experienced Vaheguru, those who Vaheguru is revealed inside, the light of God then shines through them as well. And Bhai Sahib, when he saw him, he was very kind of humbled by seeing him. And he said, how many, I will keep the story short, because how many of you live in this cell? How many are you? How many do you reckon there would be? How many are kept in solitary confinement in that cell? Bhai Sahib would be, how many would there be? One person, okay, so it's just Bhai Sahib. Bhai Sahib said there's 2 of us. And the guards, they go, he's lying. What a lie, he's lying. And the priest goes, he can't be lying. Why can't he be lying? Why can't he be lying? Why can't Bhai Sahib be lying?
Because he's in there. He's the only one that can know.
What else? When he looks at Bhai Sahib, why he said he can't be lying? He's a Sikh. In the Gauriya Raj, if any Sikh said anything, Gauri would accept that to be the truth because they said Sikhs don't lie. It's a thought going to Africa, to Kenya, and the locals were sent to me there as well. When the British ruled in Kenya, when he there as well, he goes that whenever a Sikh, Amritari Sikh said something in court, they'll accept that to be true. So imagine there's been a fight, and the Sikh says that this person's innocent, he started the fight. Whether there's evidence or not, the judge will say that a Sikh can never lie. And if he says that he saw that and he said that must be true, these are evidence, these are documented things. That's how high the character of our ancestors were. So it's something to think about where we are at the moment. So, because you can't be lying, at the same time, the guards can't be lying either. So he goes, who is in the cell with you? And Bhai Sahib said, Guru mere sang, sada hai nari, simmer simmer, sada simmer. With me is who? God, Guru. Not Guru, that is God. Simmer simmer te sada smile, remembering him, I cherish him. Then the priest goes, I wonder if that would work for me. He seems a man of God. He goes that I want to test it out. Because God's opened the cell, I want to go in his cell. Because sir, you are you are a worker of the government. You can't go in the cell. I goes, I order you, put me in the cell. And then Biden Singh goes, by the way, priest, so if by chance you do want to come out, in the corner there's a bell, ring that, because of contents. So the priest goes in. After a few minutes or a small amount of time, the priest starts ringing the bell. Because get me out, get me out. I can't breathe and I'm get me out. He comes out and he falls at the feet of Bhai Manvir Singh and says, I was just there for a few moments and I felt. Do you imagine being in a dark dungeon cell, like a box room? It's like being locked up in a cupboard. But it's not a cupboard, it's a stone cupboard. He goes that, I don't know how, if your Guru's always with you and you're so chardik, you're such high spirits, because blessed is your Guru, blessed are his Sikhs. So that just shows you the power of those Guru Sikhs whom Vaheguru is seen or known because of Guru's blessings. Another thing, how do we know about God? How do you know about God exists? This is just extra information. It's through this. How do we know? Sarva Sukh Anand Mangal Rasman Govinde Agyo. That those who follow God, they experience Sarva Sukh, all the happinesses, all the peace, Anand, bliss, Mangal Ras, they experience those pleasures. That because they have experienced God, they are willing to get themselves cut piece to piece. Because they've experienced God, and that anand, that happiness, that bliss that they've experienced, that God has been revealed for them, they're willing to be sown alive. This is 1986, July. This is modern. By Gurdev Singh, they were boiled alive, but not given up as Sikhi. These are shaheeds, martyrs. And these are saints, Baba Puran Singh Jee, Bhai Nok Singh Jee Babbaru, Bhai Jeevan Singh Jee. Two things, or two people which can show us about God's existence are martyrs and saints, shaheed and sants. When you look at their Jeevan, their lives, when you look at saints, you can see God's reflection through them. You go there, from their aura vibrations, you get inspired, and same with saints, martyrs as well. So I'd say definitely read the books or the Jeevanis of great Guru Sikhs, whether the martyrs or Jiripag itself. Just to end with, this is my last slide. Okay, story of an atheist. This guy I met in Leeds University. Are you all with me? Both of you with? Okay. This guy's name is called Dorian. He's a French guy. I went to Leeds University to do a talk there, and afterwards this guy approached me and he goes, "Why would you Khalsa? Why would you Fateh?" And I'm a bit shocked. This guy thought, that's strange. And then he had Mulaya, and then he goes, I said, so I politely asked him, so what makes you come to this talk? Because I was talking about Sikh history to operate Punjabi's Sikh society. Because I was the founder of the Sikh society. This guy was the founder of Leeds University Sikh Society. This gentleman here. Probably your reaction. I was shocked. You were the founder of the Sikh Society. I said, how is that? I was really shocked. I'm like, things aren't making sense to me. Things aren't making sense. I said, can you tell me how on earth or why did you find the Sikh Society? And then you only have to put your background on this. Then when he told me a story, at the end he said that, so let me explain. So there's a story when explaining that I also asked me to email me, so I have a written kind of document of it so I can share with people as well. I'll put it on the internet as well. He said to me that when I'm from France, he's French, he's doing a PhD in Japanese, this guy here, Dorian. And he spent time in Japan as well. He said, my family's French, we're from France, and my parents are journalists. And in 1984, my parents went to India to report on what do they want to report on? Operation, wasn't it? The Sikh Holocaust. And he goes that they were to India, and he goes that there was a lot of disturbances. Oh gosh, thank God, yeah, okay, guys. I forgot to bring my charger as well, so it's good that this is coming together. So he goes that it was Operation Blue Star, which we don't remember as Operation, we remember as our Holocaust. And he goes that my parents went to India as journalists. And when they got to Delhi, from Delhi they went to go to Punjab. He said the Punjab was cordoned off. Punjab, the military had surrounded it, and no one was allowed to enter or leave Punjab. Everybody understand why? You know why? Anyone know why? Why had the army cordoned off Punjab?
So the government won't be exposed of what they do.
Hanji, so the government, so they don't expose what they do. So then when they said if anyone enters, they'll be shot. Anyone who comes to Punjab, unhone goli maar denge. They said to the goli as well. So he goes that we went back. He said that my parents had a Sikh taxi driver. And that Sikh taxi driver in 1984 in Delhi, when the genocide happened, he goes that my parents were traveling and their taxi driver stopped and they were within the taxi, the Gore within, the French people. Because my parents' taxi driver was grabbed out by the Hindu mobs and he was burned alive in front of them. He saw in front of them. Because even though I was young, my parents used to tell us how Sikhs are oppressed in India and how they go through tortures and they're treated really badly. And they're going through so many genocides and so on. And then he goes that my parents would tell us, not just that, he goes, they would also tell us the brave stories. He would say that my parents tell us, do you know what, they were atheists, they were hardcore atheists, they didn't believe in God. They would say, do you know Sikhs, they're very brave people. They saw brave, courageous Singhs and Singhliya in India at that time as well. And he told a bit about Sikh history as well. And he had some sort of family connection to Maharaja Ranjit Singh. See, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, he had a connection with the French. I don't know if you know that. He had French people working for him. So he said that I was brought up to believe there's no God. So when he's born, there's no God, no mention of God. That people who believe in God, that's just kind of like believing in the pink dragon kind of story. Because he gets older, and he says, something's missing in my life. Life seems incomplete. It's like a puzzle which is incomplete. He doesn't feel whole, he doesn't feel complete. So he comes and he starts studying religions. So he studies Christianity, then he studied Islam, then he studied Judaism, then Buddhism. Then, because he studied all the religions, but still he felt incomplete. He said, I found some nice things within Christianity, but then I didn't like how they said that only those who believe in Jesus go to heaven, everybody else goes to hell. I didn't like how, some Christians that they don't believe women can become religious leaders. Then he looked at Islam, it's really nice, actually found really nice how they believe in one God and they worship and they've got a lot of discipline and love for God. But I didn't like this whole idea of you are kafirs and we are the true believers. You are infidels and equal to cattle and animals. And you can torture them or kill them and we are the believers. I didn't like that part. Then in Buddhism, but there was no God in wisdom. It's just about mind meditation, but no worship of God. Because Judaism, he just found there's loads of disciplines and laws. Do this, don't walk here, don't put the light switch on Friday. This, that. It's a bit too much. It's all about these rules. Because then, he came to Sikhi, and this is obviously a few years ago. He wanted to research Sikhi, so he said, what do I do? He knew about Sikhi, because his parents told them that in India there's these people who they don't cut their hair, they wear turbans and this and that. And so he knew about them, and they were told that they were tortured and oppressed in India, and how they're great soldiers and saints as well. So he decides, the last religion to study, he said, was Sikhi. And he goes that, he didn't know where to start, where do I get the information about Sikhi? Nowadays it's quite easy to go on the internet. He was kind of thinking, what do I do? He asked somebody, is there a Sikh bookshop where I can find a book about Sikhi? Someone said, the only shop I know is in Southall, the Sikh Missionary Society, 10 Featherstone Road. He goes, it's there. He went all the way from Leeds to Southall on a coach. 6 to 7 hours it took him just to buy a book on Sikhi. Conceive it. Those who want to find God, what they do. Can you imagine how many people live in Woolwich, in neighbouring areas? How many people come to this camp? How many people come to the Gurmat class, the Sikhi class with Khalsa? How many of us bother to even ask questions or, say, let's start something up or let's pick up a book? Or Benji, can you get me a book? How many of us do bother doing that? I always felt like crying and falling at this guy's feet when he said, I travelled on a coach 6-7 hours to South from Leeds because the coach keeps stopping. And he goes, just to rent the book, and he bought one book. He said, changed his life. And this is one thing he says, after reading that book about Sikh history and what Sikh religion says, I am forever grateful to the Lord that He has made me discover Sikhi. Nothing has been a coincidence, and I feel that it is Vaheguru who has led me to Sikhi. That was according to His will, and that everything had already been planned by the Master of Life. Once I began studying the Sikh religion, I simply could not stop. I'd fallen in love with Sikhi, thanks to God. And thanks to Sikhi, I've fallen in love with God. Sikhi has taught me how to live my life as a good human being and as a humble servant of mankind. I pray to Vaheguru for help in following the path of the blessed Gurus, and that I may one day become a true Sikh of the Khalsa Panth. Doli Boli.
Bole so nihal. Sat Sri Akal.
He said to me when he was at there, he goes, Bhai Sahib, I would like to take Amrit. And he goes, but what's holding me back? He goes, I just need a bit more confidence to keep my case. He goes, I'm trying to keep my case, but I need a bit more confidence. He tried at the start. He goes, when I get slightly more confidence, then I'm going to try and take Amrit. Because I've given up, meat and alcohol, and I've tried to research more. He goes, but I just find it amazing. And that way to me shows, the story had an atheist can find Vaheguru through Guru Prasad, the Guru's grace. To end with, how do you know if this is milkshake?
Taste it.
Or how do we should be able to quickly say, taste. That's the end of the story, end of this presentation. Two, if you want to know about God, it's not about Galla Karniya. Oh, let's go and sit together and, I'm going to prove God through reading these books or writing these articles. It's about experience and practical. It's all about tasting. We have to do something to taste, and that's why it's very important. Take time out, do Simran. Just simple thing as just chanting Vaheguru can change your life. Simple thing of just chanting Mool Mantra can change your life. Simple thing of attending Kirtan program. There's so many Kirtan programs happening around Sabai Kirtan or this, that, the other, can change your life. Just by coming to Gurdwara, having darshan, seeing Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, it's the same tasting. Having that spiritual experience, that spiritual taste. Guru said, Jinni chakya, inu saad paya, bin chake, param palaya. Those who have tasted it, enjoy its flavor. Without tasting it, they wander in doubt, lost and deceived. So, any questions from anybody? Did you get something out? Did you get something out today? No question. It hasn't been over your head, has it? Sure. Or you just board will cut this. Let's do some simple cutting there. Simple cutting.